See? Very simple. Indeed. Very simple.
I swear you could write the Magna Carta on my forehead. The one big story I do have when I was a kid is that it's not really, well, I guess kind of a UFO experience. I was about 13 years old. It was the springtime. You have combines, you have tractors working all hours of the day, all hours of the night. So when I woke up to have a light shining through my window in the middle of the night, that really wasn't a big deal for me. I mean, it happens all the time. It's something that I was used to. So I went back to sleep. Now, I can't remember how much time had passed, but when I woke up the second time, the light was still through my window, which again, no cause for alarm, no concern, just no big deal. Could have been a combine, a tractor, who knows. So the more I looked at this light, the more I realized that the noise from that diesel engine that I normally associate these lights with, wasn't there. I mean, it was deathly quiet. And so the moment that the thought crossed my mind to get up out of bed, to look through the window to see what it was, that's the moment this light started to come up off the ground. Now, of course, I'm still not worried at this point. It's like, okay, could be a piece of equipment, piece of farm machinery. It's really no big deal. But yet, it is pretty quiet. So at this point, it's just basically a Mexican standoff. I'm looking at the light's looking at me, I think it's looking at me. And then the light begins to move. It begins to move south. So I'm like, okay, if this is a piece of farm equipment like a combine or a tractor, there's a ditch next to the road. So if it goes down in the ditch, this light is gonna dip along with the geometry of that ditch. So as this light moves south, it moves past the ditch. There's no change in elevation. It stays at the exact same position irregardless. And I knew full well it had gone over that ditch. There's just no way around this ditch. It runs the entire length of the road, as ditches do. Now as this light's moving south, it's lighting up different parts of my home, and I look down the hallway and it's lit up the bathroom, it's lit up the room down at the end of the hallway. And then now as this light had moved south, it had positioned itself directly in front of our home and had lit up the living room as if it were daylight. And at this point, my curiosity kind of ended because I realized that this is not a tractor, this isn't a combine. So my 13-year-old self decided, hey, I think the best thing to do is go back to bed, which I did. I did tell my mom, but I think she dismissed it just as quickly as she had heard it. But for me, that was a very big deal. I was just starting to get into sci-fi. I was curious about life on another planet. I had written a letter to NASA, and they sent me a brochure about SETI, which was disappointing. But to me, this was confirmation that there was life on other worlds. Even though I had very little evidence to go on, and it was just a great big assumption on my part. I haven't really experienced anything like that since that moment, but for a 13-year-old, that was one hell of a night.